welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website C+Comedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back in. Hey, I've got a very special set of interviews coming for you right now. We've got the wonderful and talented and very funny cast of the TV show Ted. Alanna Ubach, Scott Grimes, Giorgia, Whigham, and Max Burkholder. I know I was going to say Scott's name first, and then I was like, give it to the lady. Welcome back. This is, I believe we spoke 2 years ago at this point. True or false, I started the Scott and Alanna conversation because it's in segment. I started the Scott and Alanna conversation with, "Hey, nice guys, we spoke a couple years ago for the first season. Nice to see you again." And then Scott very politely said, "Nice to see you again." We barely talked about the show. It's you know how these things go. Whenever I do junkets, it's not that much time, but at least I have the time initially. I don't think the show is going to be coming back either. Seth MacFarlane, I did see an interview today where he was like, I don't know if it's coming back. The show is too expensive. But I would love for the show to come back. I do like this show. I'm not kidding when I tell these people. If I tell, look, I do have tricks when I interview people, but there's no tricks needed here. I do like this show. I think it's very funny. Go watch it. Go watch it. It's just if you like Seth MacFarlane humor, then you're gonna like this show. It's just a lot of great, funny jokes. Sometimes they're over the top. Sometimes they do miss. But all in all, it's just a funny show. Max is an enjoyable young man to speak to. I hope he has an excellent career. Giorgia is very funny, and I hope she continues to work too. Just talking about it, like as if this show is already dying. Alanna Ubach is very, very funny, and Scott Grimes is also very funny. I just anyway, go watch the show. If you want to see a video version of the interviews, you can go to youtube.com/C+Comedy to see them in video form. Now I'm going to do my best to throw to these interviews. Watch Peacock, watch Ted on Peacock, and then cancel Peacock after the fact. Now, please enjoy Alanna Ubach, Scott Grimes, Giorgia Whigham, and Max Burkholder from the TV show Ted. And we're back. Okay. Am I going to cut any of that from the video? No, thank you. I will not. It's so much work. I'm not cutting that for the video. I also had never mind. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. It's nothing it's nothing bad or anything. It's just I used the word salacious twice in I just recorded Late Night Lately, but this will come out before Late Night Lately. And I used the word salacious twice, and now it's in my head. What's been going on today? Well, this morning I woke up, and I have to tell you, the first thing I did was download the Harry Styles album. I'm not kidding. That was the first thing I did. And I like it. I think it's called Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally. I think if you come in to this Harry Styles album wanting it to be like Fine Line or wanting it to be like Harry's House, you're going to be pretty disappointed. I think the title truly gives away what it is, and in that, it's a disco-ish record, like a kind of like a disco pop record with songs that, and I please understand, I hate using this goddamn word because I'm not a fucking moron, that you can vibe to. I think I was watching CNN this week, and I just hate hearing like slang terms like that on fucking news. No, I love Audie Cornish. I love watching her show. I don't want to hear in the group chat. Now, recognize when I named his albums, I left out the original Harry Styles. And I'm going to say this as confidently as I possibly can. Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally is more akin to, it's like a mixture of that original Harry Styles. And, I'll say it's an amalgamation of all three of those first ones, but I think it's more related to that first Harry Styles record. True or false? My mom loves Harry Styles. True. It's very true. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I've already listened to it 2.5 times. I was listening to it prior to recording Late Night lately. I listened to it at the gym, and it finished before my workout was over. So that tells you how long. It's 42 minutes, but that tells you how long I work out for. And then I switched over to, I don't know. I don't know what I switched over to. I've also been listening to Mitski's new album, Nothing's About to Happen to Me, which if you don't like Mitski, if you don't like the style of music, the style of indie music that Mitski makes, you're not going to like it. I also listened to Bruno Mars's new album, The Runaway. Is that what it's called? Runaway Jams? Hold on. I have to go to my library on YouTube Music. I also listened to the Blackpink EP Deadline. Yeah, it's called The Romantic. I was wrong. Not The Runaway. He has a song called The Runaway. And then also the Days of Ash EP from U2. I think I spoke about that. There's also Jeannie from Blackpink put out a deluxe version of her record Ruby, and I have not yet listened to the deluxe edit. But that the Deadline Blackpink thing, there is a song on there. They start chanting Blackpink, and I think it is so great. I think it might be Go. I think it's Go. They start going Blackpink. I'm like, yeah. I also saved. I probably will not watch Tron Ares because I'm not a fan of the Tron movies. I tried so hard. When the second Tron movie came out, I went, great. This is again before streaming. I went, great. I'm gonna watch the original Tron. So I think I rented it or something, and then I was just so bored by it. And then I saw the second Tron. I don't remember a thing about it. And then Tron Ares is out, and I believe it's on Disney Plus now after being in theaters for a bit. That's what movies tend to do. And I have no interest in watching it. And also I have commercials. I have a commercial plan on Disney Plus and Hulu, and I just don't want to watch over commercials. It stinks watching a movie because it's on HBO. I have HBO Max and Disney Plus and Hulu. Both are the ones with commercials, and it just stinks watching commercials with a movie. And it makes me. This is all right. This. This is going to sound like I spend a lot of money on movies, but I do. I have wish lists on both Vudu, which is now Fandango at home, and Apple. Well, Apple TV just got rid of their wish list, but whatever. Anyway, but there's a website called Cheap Charts, and you can track the pricing of movies and TV shows on Apple, Amazon, Vudu, Fandango, whatever. Who gives a shit? I'm gonna say Vudu and Google Play. And I have a couple of I have my wish list for Apple, and I have my wish list for Fandango. And every time a movie gets to a price that I would like to buy it at, $5, then I will go ahead and buy a movie. As of late, Disney has been having a sale on their movies and TV shows, which I really, really appreciate. TV shows including The Simpsons and Family Guy, which, yes, are on TV all the time, and I'm watching them all the time, but to spend $5 on a season is amazing. So I've just been buying up seasons of those shows. And then for Disney, whose movies, remember when they were pulling things in and out of the vault and they were making the scarcity? Like I would watch cartoons, and then I would see commercials like, coming out of the Disney vault, The Lion King, Diamond Edition. You can buy it only once, and then once it goes back in the vault, you're never going to see it again. But now the scarcity thing is dumb because we all are streaming. Anyway, because I feel as though I am veering a little away from streaming, I want to purchase these movies and not have to deal with commercials or if they disappear from the service or what have you. So I've been buying a lot of movies. I've been spending $5 on movies, and thankfully they've been having these sales, which have been a blessing and a curse for my wallet. Which would be the name of this episode, but I have the cast of the TED. So I in the last couple of weeks, I have been just procuring a shit ton of movies, including, and I will name them out: Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Princess and the Frog, a movie I already own on Blu-ray; Hercules, Brave, a movie I'm not really a fan of; Onward, because I do have a goal of owning all the Disney princess movies and all of the Pixar movies, even if I don't like them. And I disliked Onward. I rewatched Onward on Sunday, and I just went. I ended it with oh my god, I think I like Onward. Finding Nemo, Soul, The Fast and the Furious. I now own all the Fast and Furious movies. Pocahontas, Raya and the Last Dragon, Mulan. For some reason, I bought both of the Mean Girls movies. It was $8 probably. Tangled, Luca, a movie I despise. I do not like Luca. Toy Story 4, Lion King, Up, a movie I own on Blu-ray. Sleeping Beauty, Tombstone. It's like a one adult movie, Tombstone. I love that movie. The Jungle Book, a goofy movie, Cinderella, live action and animated. Aladdin, King of Thieves, and Aladdin. Beauty and the Beast. I'm skipping over a lot of movies that I bought that I don't think anybody cares about. Like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, a movie I forgot I had. Too Fast, Too Furious. As I said, I want to own all of the movies. Anyway, and I also bought all the Indiana Jones movies because I found a good resale price. Somebody was selling the code from their DVDs, and I bought it. They're 4Ks, excuse me. I'm not buying. If it's less than 4K, I'm not going to do it. And then there's going to be a point where I just buy those movies physically because you don't own digital copies. And again, I do collect movies. That's the only thing I collect. Movies and video games. There's also a new Pokemon game out called Pokemon Poketopia. I don't have a Switch 2. Eventually, I will buy it. I'll buy a Switch 2 and I'll buy a Pokemon Poketopia. It's like, if you know what Dragon Quest Builders, that's not mainstream enough. It is like Minecraft and Animal Crossing, I guess, is the best way I can put it. I'm excited. I can't wait to play it at some point. What else has been happening? Oh, the Arnold Palmer Invitational is going on right now, golf. F1 starts on Apple TV today, or I guess it started today, yeah. Or yesterday, March 5th. The day that this was supposed to be recorded. I was not fit to record yesterday. It was going to be a rough one. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Yeah, nothing else going on. I noticed this week I've not played a lot of video games. I'm probably smack dead in the middle of High on Life 2. And I probably mentioned this last week. It's a funny game. The playing it is bad. I just don't like it. It's just not a good shooter. What else is going on? I checked my bank statement and I noticed that PlayStation Network charged me again. That's where my life is. It's charged on my main card, and I went, "Excuse me? I should have more money than this. Where's this $10?" It really stinks that this is a non-story. But I read the new CEO of Xbox said that the next Xbox, which they'll talk about in the coming weeks or months, will play Xbox and PC games, which is cool and it's exciting. Whatever, who cares? But it's just unfortunate that Xbox and PlayStation are leaning towards this subscription platforming that is just not fun. And you can say you don't have to subscribe to Game Pass, you can just buy games. You don't have to subscribe to PlayStation Network, you can just buy games, or PlayStation Plus. But man, it's in order to play online, which I don't do, but in order to have online things and functions, you have to subscribe to those things. And there was a point where you had to subscribe to PlayStation Network and to Xbox Live in order to do stuff online, and I think that still goes. That still goes. It fucking goes, bro. I'm so vulgar today, but it's just not something that is fun and engaging. And video gaming has just become, if you pay attention to online discourse, which I don't, I try to only just get the news and then get out. But if you pay attention to online discourse, which I was doing up until like 2 years ago or so, it is just so frustrating. Everybody wants to be sectioned off in their own areas and say this is better, this console's better than that, that console, this playing on PC is better than playing on console. That. I just want to play games. Now everything's a live with service game, and then these live with service games don't last. Like what is it? Gotham Knights. Everything's online. I just want to play as Robin and as Batgirl and as the Red Knight. What the fuck? Red Hood and Nightwing. I just want to play as them. I don't want to do this live as service game. I don't want, or Suicide Squad. I just want to have fun. What was that Marvel one that they ended up taking offline completely? The Marvel game. Marvel's Avengers. Marvel's Avengers, as it was called. Now there's a new one out called like Marathon, and I don't know what that is. Marathon 2026 video game. It's a first-person shooter video game developed by Bungie. It's PvP. I just want to play games, man. I just want to play a story-based game. Yeah, anyway. That's why I like to just, when I pick up my Switch, and it's just so exciting because that's like where I have most of my physical games. I've been drifting towards digital only for Xbox and PlayStation. And then on Steam Deck, it's just great to pick up the Steam Deck and go, I'm going to play this game that's been downloaded to my Steam Deck for a long time. Or like to download something else. But for the Switch, yesterday I picked it up and I was playing, and I took out whatever was in there, which is like, I guess, Mario Tennis Aces or something. And because I can't afford the new one. But I wanted to play Pokemon. It's just great to take out the cartridge and then put in another cartridge. I hope the Switch 3, I know I don't even have a Switch 2 yet, but I hope the Switch 3 is still backwards compatible. I also want Nintendo to come into the future and let me buy. They have a new Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green can be bought on Nintendo Store now on Nintendo Switch 2 for $20 each, which is ugh. But I wish they would do that with every other game. There's going to be people that will just buy that Pokemon game instead of Pokemon Legends ZA, and they will be in for, if you've never played Leaf Green, if you haven't played anything pre Scarlet and Violet or pre Sword and Shield, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. But you're going to be in it for a surprise as well, because there's a lot of those games are so fantastic. Like Black and White 2 is just Sun and Moon is wonderful. Crystal is great, but Emerald is excellent, which they don't have Emerald on there. But I wish they would just come into the future and allow us to just buy all these games. Because I can play Uncharted 1 doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to miss out on Uncharted 4. I'm like I'm not going to be like, oh, well, I have Uncharted 1. I don't want to play Uncharted 4. Like, that's stupid. Just because I can play Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to ignore Mortal Kombat 1. No, I'm going to play Mortal Kombat 1 because that is the latest fighting game and telling the better story. So I don't get why Nintendo is just like, let me play all the Mario Strikers games on Nintendo Switch. Let me play all the Mario Golf games. Let me play all the Mario Kart games. Nobody's going to put, well, I mean, I guess people would probably not play Mario Kart World if they had Mario Kart Double Dash. I think that's a very real thing. They probably would only play, we have Smash Brothers Ultimate, but I guess people would play Smash Brothers Melee or Wii as opposed to Ultimate. Who's still playing Smash Brothers Ultimate? I don't. I used to play Melee all the time. I used to play Brawl all the time. And then the Wii U version came out, and I played it, and then that was it. I guess it's because I was younger, and then there wasn't as many distractions. Let's get on to the stories. I'm hungry and I have to do yoga. Oh, by the way, I'm what's 28 plus 31? So that's 59, and then 59 plus 5. I'm 64 days into a 100-day yoga challenge that is being conducted by myself. And let me tell you, the hardest day, Friday. I'm not kidding. Friday is the hardest day. Saturday, I typically do a bike ride, a Peloton ride, and a live Peloton class with my girlfriend at DT Shaw. The beautiful DT Shaw. And the wonderful Matt Wilpers, who's the bike rider. And then Sunday, I usually stretch and do a yoga class. So I will always remember on those 2 days. The hardest one has been Friday thus far, because Friday I'm just dead from the week of working out. And it gets tough to because it'd be like 6 o'clock, or like right now it's 6, and I'm going to be doing it at 6:30. But there'll be moments where it's like, it's like 6 or 7 o'clock, and I go, oh shit, I didn't do yoga. Or it'll be like 4 o'clock, and I go, I guess I have to do yoga. Okay, just checking my email. Oh, Christ, didn't happen. Well, I have work to do. Okay, let's get into this. Why am I zoomed out? Oh, because of the late night lately. This comes from Max Goldbart over at Deadline. Oh, God, I have to bring up Chrome again. What? Where is it? Where's Chrome? Can you show it to me? Yeah. YouTube economics are challenging for broadcasters, BBC says. Earlier, I reported that the BBC is going to be making shows for YouTube. They struck a deal this year in order to do that. Now, the corporation said, quote, we do not envisage a major commercial upside to making more YouTube-first shows, quote, due to the limited revenues on offer from video sharing platforms. This is something that I wish this is going to be a little bit of a divergence, but I'm going to explain myself. Scott Galloway and Kara Swisher, during what's it called? Jimmy Kimmel's issues with the FCC when he was off the air for a week and change, I believe. They were like, he should just quit the show and only bring his top 12 people and then make a show for YouTube and blah, blah, blah. They live, and I know I've talked about this a lot, but they live in this world, and people like that live in this world where, you hustle, grind, make content online, and that's how you make money, and screw everybody else because you're going to make the most money, and being rich is awesome. Even though they hate billionaires, I guess. But being rich is awesome. It's so many people, even the influencers you like, even the influencers you follow. So many people do not make money online. Yes, they can make money from sponsored posts and doing and they get free stuff sometimes. But man, it's so tough to make money online, especially now. Maybe 10 years ago, it would have been easier, but now it's just so difficult. And just because SNL can put out a clip, or Fallon or Kimmel or just whomever, any show or whatever, can put out a compilation of like Superstore clips on NBC's Superstore YouTube page. Just because that can do a million hits does not necessarily mean that the company's making money and that money will trickle down to the creators of the show or whatever. If anything, it can make a decent penny, but that's not going to be anything to write home about and to say, this show is going to be profitable. And the BBC completely understands that. They understand that they're probably better off still making shows for the network. YouTube economics are challenging for broadcasters to make a positive return on premium content. Advertising pricing is significantly lower than linear and broadcaster video on demand, says the 100-page document from BBC. Fewer adverts are served, and the platform takes a large share of the revenue. This means that broadcasters can expect to earn much less for every hour of content viewed on a video sharing platform than on their VOD service. They're on their own VOD service. It's just people think that you can just go and like I'm gonna be an Instagram influencer. I'm gonna make money. That is just not how things work. And there has to be a point where people understand that. But yeah, it's just we'll see what the BBC has to do with their YouTube. I actually would like to go to youtube.com and check out the BBC. Let's see, BBC. Nope, the first thing that came up was BBC Ghost bloopers because I like watching BBC Ghosts. All right, there's BBC News and there's BBC. So it does look like the BBC has been putting out more YouTube videos, but it's just one every other day or so. I don't understand what they'll be doing. They're going to be making YouTube first shows, but that doesn't make sense to me. Let's continue on with this. Okay, as part of the YouTube deal, the BBC has earmarked pots of money from across its TV and news divisions that will be used to fund YouTube first shows. Questioned several weeks back, the BBC declined to disclose the funding committed to YouTube originals. Under the agreement, the BBC will grow its number of YouTube channels to 50, which includes those operated by commercial arm BBC studios. All right. Well, they're also going to be doing content from BBC. Oh, 7 children's channels. New specialist channels that include BBC Three's Deep Watch. 7 children channels? I think you need 1. Including the Epic Facts channel, which will bring together content from BBC series, including Horrible Histories and Deadly 60. If you hear animals eating, that's what's happening right now. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Okay, this next one comes from the New York Times. I'm sorry, I was like, wait, what is this? Paramount Warner deal promises to shake up streaming. This comes from John Coblin. Well, as soon as I finished recording the Constitutionals last week, boy, oh boy, did I look like the fool. Warner decided that Paramount was the better bet. Paramount paid Netflix its $2.8 billion deal-ending fee. Netflix made that money. That's great. And Warner Brothers and Paramount Skydance will become one company. Along with that, Paramount Plus and HBO Max, Paramount Plus will swallow up HBO Max, which is unfortunate, which is something that I did not want to see, but that's what's going to happen. Oh my gosh. And David Ellison said that he wants CNN to run autonomously, which is independently and autonomously, which is not going to happen. That's what should have happened with CBS, and guess where we are? We got that chubby little cherub, Barry Weiss, running it. It's just, oh God. But what's interesting about Paramount Plus and HBO Max becoming one is that it will still be dwarfed by YouTube and Netflix. Even I don't even know if Disney beats it. Like I don't know if they beat Disney. So the $111 billion deal is going to, as Ellison puts it, really position us to compete with the leaders in the space. So yes, they will get a large jump in subscribers. There's very little overlap apparently between Warner Bros. Discovery's 132 million streaming subscribers and Paramount's 78.9 million. Apparently, in the United States, only 21% of all Paramount Plus subscribers have HBO Max. Honey, switch that around. only 21% of HBO Max subscribers have Paramount Plus. That's according to a research firm. The combined streaming app will roughly have about 200 million subscribers. That would put Paramount Warner in the same orbit as Disney's combined subscription count, and reasonably closer to Netflix, which has a higher subscription figure at more than 325 million. I think, I'm going to say this bit of conjecture. I think that Paramount Plus and HBO Max, when that combines, the price is obviously going to be insane. And I think that they will shed a few subscribers. I don't know if it will be a lot or enough to notice, but I do think people will go, I can only afford Disney Plus and Netflix, and I think those are the two I will keep. Because I don't know, it'll be great to have Star Trek next to The Pit. Couldn't think of anything else. But a smaller change in viewing time. The other metric media executives obsess over, though, is viewing time. That's another measure of streaming services popularity because it spells out how much time people spend on an app, and by that measure, the deal would move the needle a lot less. Paramount Plus accounts for 1.6% of all viewing time in the United States, and HBO Max represents an additional 1.2%, according to Nielsen. I'm guessing people are unlike me, and they don't have YouTube TV as well. And so when they have Paramount Plus, if they have Paramount Plus, then they will probably watch the live channels like CBS and CBS News and the TV 80s sitcom channel, which is my favorite because that's where Cheers is. Sometimes I'll turn it on, I'll see Wings, and I'll just go, oh. Last night I turned it on right before bed so I could watch Cheers and then go to sleep. And they played a couple of episodes that were out of sequence, and I thought, this is great. I want to see an episode from season 1. I want to see an episode from season 9. Smashing the two together would bring them up to 2.8%, a smidgen behind Roku, 3%, but well ahead of Peacock at 1.8% in January. Remember when Warner, who was it? Disney and Fox were going to do a sports streaming service, and then Peacock and Versant, and then Peacock and was it Versant? I don't know. And then Peacock and Paramount Plus were like, "Hey, how come we're not doing that? We have sports too." And then that ended with Disney having to buy Fubo. All that viewing time still significantly trails YouTube at 12.5%, Netflix at 8.8%, and there's the second tier of Prime Video at 4.1%, and Disney, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, respectively, at 4.9%. It's ridiculous. Sports is a wild card. Sports is the biggest sure bet on all television right now. That's very true. The combined Paramount Warner would have Paramount's rights to the NFL, because it airs on CBS, Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, and golf tournaments like the Masters, alongside the Warner's rights to MLB, NHL, that's it, because they lost basketball. Together, they will have the rights to all of March Madness. Good for them. But besides MLB and NFL, and remember, I love golf. I'm watching golf right now. Golf is on TV right now. I don't know if the rest of that is a real game changer. All right, continuing. We're probably going to see more combining, as John Coblin writes here, of streaming services, including, Peacock wanting to combine with somebody else. They just spun off. ABC Universal just spun off all of, I think that's Versant. What was the sports thing that Netflix? Whatever. Who cares? Who gives a shit? But I think, Peacock is not making money. However, they do have that deal with Apple TV. You spend $15 and you can get both Apple TV and Peacock. Peacock with ads. But is it going to be enough for Paramount? When the Max app was updated in 2023 after the merger of Warner and Discovery, executives believed that bringing together the rich library of scripted movies and TV shows of Warner Brothers with Discovery's vast trove of reality shows would create a can't miss everything for everybody streaming app, and that did not work. But I also think it's because they did not. They put a lot of emphasis on the reality stuff for Discovery, and they did not let they called it Max first of all, but they did not let the HBO version of that breathe. So I don't think I think this is what could possibly happen. Two things that could possibly happen with the streaming platform. I think Paramount Max, because they're not going to have HBO on there. It's just not going to happen. I think Paramount Max or Paramount Warner, whatever the streaming app is, that is either going to be this mega app with all this stuff, this rich tapestry of Star Trek and DC stuff and Food Network stuff and HGTV things. I think it's gonna be that, and people aren't just not going to gel with that. And then that's going to be, and then they're going to be like, hey, this is too much. We have to start licensing out our shows and movies because we don't know we can't afford this. Or it's just going to be a cobbled together mess in the same way that every single time I try to watch Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, I have to, and Survivor and Big Brother, I have to start the show, back out, and then start the show again. Every single time. Because it won't play correctly. The Dolby Vision won't trigger. The audio doesn't work. It's just... We'll get more on that probably later this year. And finally, this comes from the Hollywood Reporter, written by Caitlin Houston. As video podcast boom, SAG-AFTRA looks to organize the industry. I listened to a show called Never Not Funny, and they are one of the first podcasts, period, but also they're one of the first podcasts to partner with SAG, so that people have to sign a SAG form. I don't know what it entirely entails, but I guess it's just a partnership with SAG. And they started doing that a couple of years ago. But now, as video podcasts have become more commonplace, and a lot of famous people are doing them, including as Caitlin writes here about the Pete Davidson show, SAG wants to get in and make sure that people are protected. So recently, the Pete Davidson show, the first original podcast launched by Netflix, remember it's video only and it's only on the Netflix platform, made headlines after signing a SAG-AFTRA podcast agreement. The move may chart a course as more podcasts pop up on streamers and as SAG-AFTRA ramps up its efforts in the space while trying to define what constitutes a podcast versus a streaming show. Essentially, this will just be like union coverage. I don't think it necessarily means people will get paid, but I do think it'll be if they're able to make some sort of a semblance of togetherness here. I guess it would be under the union, and these shows would be protected and also have to enforce union rules. What have I signed up for? Every interview I did. SAG-AFTRA currently has 2 podcast contracts. The Micropod, which covers podcasts earning less than $10,000 per season and is intended for SAG-AFTRA members dipping their toes into the medium, and the Independent Podcast Agreement for podcasts earnings more than $10,000 per season. Both were created in 2023, so I guess the latter is what Endeavor Not Funny has. Most projects fit under the Independent Podcast Agreement. That's according to the National Director of Contract Strategic Initiatives and Podcasts at SAG-AFTRA, Sue Ann Morrow. Those agreements and adjustments to the independent contract are made with input from the union's podcast committee. Okay. They're covering on both Netflix and YouTube. One challenge, however, is the shifting definition of what a podcast is. Particularly video podcasters appear on Netflix more and more. Morrow said there are some internal metrics the union uses in determination, which she did not disclose, but they also listen to the industry. Sure, I guess. Man, I don't know, but I still don't know what this does besides union protections. People in the union are protected by the union. The pay rate, they talk about pay rates, depends on the project budget, the company or producers behind it, and the SAG-AFTRA members in question. So I guess it also does include guaranteed pay, which is obviously part of a union thing. Contact coverage applies to the host or hosts, and it also applies to the guests who have the power to waive the applicable fee for their appearance. Morrow notes it's up to the guest to waive the fee and that the fee does not always make sense for an editorial appearance. The overall intent is to provide the other protections of the contract. So there's no minimum rate, but we do expect for especially performers and our members, when they're on podcasts, be covered when they're guests as well. We expect them to get a contract. Okay. All right, here's an example. Here's a sample from the Independent Podcast Agreement for 2024. Minimum pay rates are negotiable. Benefit contributions are required at a 20% rate of the performer's gross compensation and are capped at $15,000 per episode or $100,000 per season per performer. If you're making $15,000 per episode, that is a TV show. That is no longer a podcast. And I understand that people, like you hear stories of like the Friends or the Big Bang Theory, people making $1 million, or Seinfeld making $1 million per episode. Calm down. Okay, specific podcast agreement. Okay, what differs? Otherwise, the Independent Podcast Agreement provides eligibility towards SAG-AFTRA health insurance and pension benefits, prohibit the use of generative AI related to the performer's voice and likeness, and more. That's really great protections. The Independent Podcast Agreement also provides a pathway towards SAG-AFTRA membership if the podcaster is not already a member. So that's pretty cool. That's good. I appreciate that. There's a lot of protections in there, and there we go. That's good. Wonderful. I have nothing else to say because I'm very tired. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to more famous people. If you want to see that happen, then go to that website, man. That's where you see everything. You can also see a video version of the interviews, under the interviews, as well as a video version of this show and the other podcasts, Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show. Excuse me, I get a little choked up. And LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs and Business podcast, over on youtube.com/C+Comedy. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at C+Comedy. Me on those platforms at Chad Blackwhite. We'll see you next time. Bye.